Okay, hello. Welcome to step two of how the hell do we get a locally developed website with a GitHub repo onto a real server. Um, in step one of this video, I showed you how to create a dev site to which you could upload your site if you wanted to. You may need to do that, you may not, but you definitely will need to do this, which is step two. And this step is hook it up, hook the GitHub repo up to the target server using deploy.io, which is our system that we use to take GitHub repos full of files and deploy those files to a particular server automatically, thusly avoiding all of our need to upload files one by one, and also continuously deploying changed files in the GitHub repo to the target server. It's pretty awesome. So, to do that, what we'll do is we'll first go to deploy.io. We have an account with these guys, um, except it's not spelled that. It's spelled deploy.io, and it forwards you to a website called deploybot because that's the new address of it. We're going to log in. We have a password for this. We manage a ton of websites through this deploy.io site. And so I'm going to go ahead and search here. Our username is this. That's also known as our account domain. Our password is this. Our email address, however, is nick.benfredconsulting.com, which is listed here in the notes. Let's log in here. Now, let's save this password. We have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Basically, for each repository, what you do in this situation is you go into deploy.io and you tell it to hook up a repository to a server. So the first step is to hook up the repository. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We have a whole bunch of them, but I'm going to connect the one I want. The repository I want is called Humanize WordPress. It already is connected. That's funny. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to do something different. No, I'm going to go ahead and undo the connection so I can redo it and show you how it's done. Humanize HTML, no. Humanize WordPress. Okay, it says this hasn't been messed with for 4 months, so that's good. Let's disconnect the repository. It says password. Okay. Yay, it's been disconnected. So now, let's go ahead and connect the repository. Here we are. Ba-dum-bum. Oh no, we have to wait for a few minutes. Well, that's sort of annoying. I wonder if there's something we can do in the meantime. Not really. I suppose we just have to wait for a few minutes. I should have done that before the video started, huh? Well, live and learn. Didn't think it was hooked up to anything. Let's connect one. Let's see if it fixed itself. You fix yourself? No. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose a random one to deploy, just to show you how it works. I'm going to choose the one, which is the real reason I'm making this video, called Epic Impact. I'm going to connect to that account. There. What just happened? Oh, whoops, I clicked the wrong button. That's what happened. Alright, so let's try this one final time. And we're going to call it Epic Impact. We're going to connect. It's now being initialized. While it's being initialized, it has this little icon. That means it can't deploy. But what you can do is you can set up the target server. So here we have some general information about the repo. We have some general information about the permissions, and we have some about the webhooks and badges. But what I can do is click Overview, and I can create an environment. And what I'm going to do, this is going to be confusing because I'm not deploying the actual repo I wanted to deploy, but whatever. We'll add an environment, and in this case, I'm going to add the environment of the dev site that I just created. So I'm going to say test dev site. Now, if this was a live site or something, you'd probably want to say live environment or official environment or something like that. There are two options for what the deployment mode should be. Manual means it will only deploy changes that are in the repo when you come to deploy.io and tell it to. Automatic means any changes to the master branch will be deployed. I like doing this for dev sites and then manual for live sites so no mistakes get done. Typically, it will deploy. The next section is branch. It'll typically deploy the master branch, but you can also deploy other branches if you want. If you wanted to have different dev sites where you're testing different branches of your repo. I also like to set triggers. Um, so and it'll notify Slack if I want to. And we usually say notify Slack in the GitHub channel when you make a deployment. What happens now is that it says, all right, now add a server in that environment. So we said the dev server. We called this a test dev server. We're going to go ahead and use our normal FTP to upload the file. So I click FTP. This is our test server at BFC. The host, I believe, what did we say the host was? Was it test? Was it test humanize? Yeah, that's what it was. It was test humanize. The port is 21 if it's FTP. The destination path on Rockin will be public HTML. But on other servers, it might be something else. This is important to get right because you can deploy your files to the wrong place if you don't get it right. The answer to this question is where you have to go after you FTP with your credentials. So if you FTP in and then you have to go to like a couple of different files to find the website, couple different folders to find the website files, you put those in. So like if you log in using an FTP program and you find yourself in the root directory and you have to go to the var directory and then you have to go to the www directory and then you have to go to the HTML directory, you'd put those in. The login is the username. I believe this is called test something. What is it called? What do we call it? Humanized test or something like that? Deploy test. That's what we called it. So we're going to copy the username here and put it in the login. And we're going to copy the password and put it in the password. And we're going to save. It'll test to make sure that it can get into the FTP using that information. Sometimes you'll get an error here, which means you either have the login information wrong or you have the direct destination directory wrong or something like that. So now it's going to deploy any changes to that branch of that repo automatically to this server. Now, it's never done it before, so you need to have an initial deployment. So to have your very first deployment, which deploys everything, you'll be here. And you can change a couple options for this if you want, but for us, we want to start a deployment, and it'll do it. Now, this can take some time because it's uploading, especially for the initial deployment. Oh, well, that was quick. It looks like there's only one thing in this repo, which makes kind of some sense, I guess. The other thing in this repo is README. Okay, well, that's what will be deployed to the server. And it worked because you can see how it got deployed. Now, I am going to actually do something fun here. And I am going to make a change to the README file. The README file only has Epic Impact in it. I'm going to open my, you may not be able to see this because I'm actually just filming the browser window. And if you can't see this, I'm sorry to say, what I'm doing right now in the background is I'm adding the Epic Impact direct. I can't really do it while I'm filming. Anyway, but yeah, if you were to from now on make any changes to the repo, it would automatically deploy them to this particular server. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm gonna have to redo this, I think, because it doesn't really make sense given there's nothing in there. Okay, well, nice try.